What's your name and that? Where are you from in Kilkenny?
So Tommy Hackett, 30 Kennyswell Road, Kilkenny. To be quite honest with you, since we opened, it was also a childhood dream of mine to be a publican someday. So very proud to be here on Parliament Street, and we're renowned for live music 8 nights a week in Hackett's. I suppose my first and earliest memories were of a school child going to the CBS on Stevenson Street. I have some very fond memories of the CBS. Tommy O'Brien was the principal at the time, but I suppose the memories that stick out the best was that fond smell of hops that used to fill the city on certain mornings. I think it was Tuesday and Thursday mornings, coming from Smithwick's Brewery, which is just across the road there. Also the sound of the boot factory. So a siren used to go off in the boot factory that the whole town would hear, to let the workers know at the time it was time for their tea or their lunch break. So there are some memories that really stuck out in my mind. Of course, going across to Nolan Park as a kid with my grandfather, also known as Tommy, and my own dad, and it wouldn't matter who was playing in the park, but you were brought across on a Sunday. Our favourite club is obviously Dicksboro, so we really look forward and relish those memories. And I also have a memory of the CBS in 1988. They won a schools cup over in Nolan Park, and I think St. Kieran's College, their city rivals, were the victims of the CBS that day. I remember coming back down John Street, and the supporters, the maroon and yellow flags of the CBS were flown, and it's just a great memory that sticks out in my mind. Yeah. Thinking on the childhood memories, I suppose Kennyswell is where we're from, and it's just a beautiful little holy well hidden away. It's a little hidden gem just on the Kennyswell Road. So we're next door neighbours of it, and that's where the homestead is. The grandparents and all my aunts and uncles were born into that house, and it became our childhood house, and the little well alongside is very peaceful, and that's where I have some fond memories of the big conker tree that overlooked the well, and going down collecting conkers and bringing them into school and swapping them and in the schoolyard. So Kennyswell would be my favourite spot in the city. I really didn't appreciate Kilkenny as much until I returned home. In my early 30s, I returned home after a 15-year period travelling around, and I really started to appreciate what the city has to offer. So I suppose the challenges are positive. You know, it's to keep our reputation as a hotspot for tourism, making sure all the visitors that come in through the city get the best example of who we are and what we do. We're very cultured, musically, artistically. Some of the great artists in the city, examples are Danny Lahart, photography, Davy Houlihan, Owen O'Driscoll. All their pieces can be viewed in the pub here, but we're very, very proud of all the city has to offer, and of course the Watergate, which is only across the road as well. So our music and our culture here is deep, and I suppose the history of the city itself, it's amazing to see the tourists when they come in, when you can share and promote the castle, 12th century castle, and the area here itself. The Black Abbey, which dates back to the 11th century, is only around the corner. St. Francis Abbey, which is across the road. The very first brewers, the Franciscan monks, brewers of ale in the city, which then was bought over by the Smithwick's family.
Monks get drunk?
I'd say the monks were very drunk, and they were entitled to be. My favourite story, I have many stories, but I'm going to bring it back to the location here again. It was Fitzgerald's pub, and probably the pub itself was best known as Fitzgerald's. It was owned by John Fitzgerald, and he reared a family just over the front part of the pub, but it was well frequented by the workers from Smithwick's Brewery. And although it's a third-hand information story, it's one that goes down very well here with the locals. But while John was running his very busy pub, a tourist came in on Saturday morning, and the pub was bustling, but this big busty American came in, and he understood the drinking culture in Ireland. So he came with a challenge for the locals. His challenge was that he heard of a man who could drink 13 pints of Guinness, and his challenge was he would offer up 50 American dollars for any man on the premises that could flatten 13 pints of Guinness in a row. So the locals got a little bit unsettled, and even two of them stood up and walked out. John was getting nervous that the American had upset his morning trade, but the locals returned within 10 minutes, and the question for the American was, the bet still on? So the American says, yes, 50 American dollars, he says, I put it down on the counter here for the man who can drink 13 pints of Guinness. So John put up the 13 pints of Guinness down along the counter, and the local the whole way down along, and a big cheer went up in the pub, and the American turned around, he says, one question, he says, where did you disappear for the 10 minutes? And the local said, I went in next door to make sure I could do it.
A wonderful story, man. Thank you very, very much, man.